Every empire, every innovation, every world-changing decision began in the quiet moments of the morning. Before the headlines, before the chaos, before the world demanded their attention, billionaires like Musk, Oprah, and Branson carved out sacred rituals that shaped the course of their lives. Meanwhile, most people stumble into their day half awake, scrolling through distractions, letting the world dictate their mood before they've even had their first sip of coffee. The gap between greatness and mediocrity is not talent. It's the discipline of how you start. So the real question is, if your mornings determine your destiny, are yours already broken? Let's find out. Picture 2 mornings. In one, the alarm goes off, and without thought, the phone is in hand, messages flood the mind, the news injects anxiety, and the inbox dictates what matters. By the time the person steps into the day, they are already carrying other people's agendas. In the other, the alarm rings, and the body rises without hesitation. Silence fills the first minutes. Breath steadies, and movement awakens. Intentions are set before interruptions arrive. The day bends to the will of the person who designed it. That single divergence, reactive versus intentional, creates 2 lives that will never touch each other. Billionaires don't wing their mornings. They engineer them. They understand that every day is a war of focus, and the morning is the battlefield. Lose here, and the war is over before it begins. Neuroscience backs this up. The brain's prefrontal cortex, the seat of decision-making, is freshest and most resilient right after waking. What you do in this fragile window sets the tone for every choice afterward. When billionaires lock in clarity early, they carry momentum into the hours that matter most. Most people underestimate this. They think success is about what you do in the office, in the meeting, and in the late-night grind. But the truth is brutal. By the time the sun is up, winners have already secured victory. The day doesn't shape them, they shape the day. Social media sells you the illusion of the flawless morning. The curated shot of lemon water on the counter. The yoga mat rolled out next to a glowing candle. Journals stacked. Affirmations written in calligraphy. Crystals lined up by the window. It looks beautiful, but beauty isn't what builds empires. The billionaire morning isn't about ritual for the sake of ritual. It isn't aesthetics, it's impact. That's why mimicking an influencer's 90-minute Instagram-ready routine won't change your life. What changes your life is whether your morning generates focus, energy, and clarity of decision. Consider this. Warren Buffett doesn't start his day with a sun salutation for Instagram. He starts with reading and reflection. Oprah centers herself with meditation. Branson activates his body with exercise. Different rituals, same purpose. Sharpen the sword before battle. The lie is that there's one perfect formula. There isn't. There's only a framework. Prime the body, anchor the mind, and set the day's direction. Anything else is noise. Billionaires strip their mornings down to leverage, not luxury. They're not chasing a perfect aesthetic. They're crafting conditions for relentless execution. So while the world is busy making their routine look good, the top 1% are making theirs work. If you strip back the noise, the billionaire morning comes down to a ruthless, simple checklist. 6 habits, each one designed to flip the brain and body into high-performance mode. First, wake without negotiation. No snooze button, no debate. The moment the alarm rings, they rise. That micro-decision builds a macro muscle. Discipline. Second, 0. Stim start. The phone stays silent. No inbox, no news, no dopamine flood. The brain thinks before the world interrupts. Third, body activation. Whether it's a workout, breathwork, or cold exposure, the nervous system is primed. Energy isn't waited for, it's created. Fourth, vision anchoring. Billionaires don't just drift into the day, they remind themselves who they are. They read their goals, repeat their affirmations, and anchor their identity. A simple phrase like, "I create impact," before most people even wake up, pulls them into alignment. Fifth, focus before input. The first hour is theirs. Deep work, learning, or creativity, done before the flood of obligations. And finally, priority lock-in. One thing is chosen, written, and owned. Not a list of 10, not vague wishes. One mission that matters most today. And once chosen, it's executed. This is the billionaire's true power, not the private jets or the boardrooms. It's the invisible structure they build each dawn. By the time the average person is stumbling into the day, billionaires have already stacked victories. Most people's mornings collapse before they've even left the bed. It's not laziness, it's design. The average person builds mornings around reaction, distraction, and noise. And when you build from chaos, you get chaos. Think about it. The first thing many do upon waking is grab their phone. In that single gesture, the brain is hijacked. Notifications, emails, and feeds, these are not tools. They are traps. By the time you've scrolled for 10 minutes, your mind is already entangled in other people's priorities. How can you lead a life of your own if your first move is to serve someone else's agenda? Another failure is length. Morning routines that stretch into 2 hours are unsustainable. They might feel productive, but they are performative. Billionaires don't linger in rituals, they design them for efficiency. If your routine is so elaborate you can't replicate it on a hectic travel day, it's broken. Noise is the third failure. Some people think plugging into a podcast or blasting music the moment they wake is growth. It isn't. It's consumption, not creation. And when your morning is built on consumption, your day is built on dependency. I once coached a client who stacked 15 different rituals into their mornings: journaling, meditation, vision boards, and endless supplements. Yet they always felt lost, unfocused. Why? Because their routine was noise, not clarity. When they replaced it with just 3 actions, movement, intention setting, and deep work, their productivity doubled. The truth is simple. Most routines don't fail because people lack effort. They fail because people never ask the only question that matters. Does this morning make me powerful or distracted? If there's one thing that separates billionaires from everyone else, it isn't intelligence, money, or connections. It's the ability to make decisions without negotiation. Discipline isn't a trait, it's a switch, and it gets flipped the moment the alarm goes off. When your mind whispers, 5 more minutes, every snooze is a message. I don't keep promises to myself. Billionaires refuse to send that signal. They rise, not because it's easy, but because they've conditioned themselves to obey discipline over comfort. This is where most people misunderstand success. They think motivation is the spark that starts the fire. It isn't. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is the steel, and mornings are the forge where that steel is sharpened. Imagine the power of this. You rise on the first alarm. You resist the pull of the phone. You choose silence over noise. Each act is a declaration. I command my life. Billionaires stack dozens of these declarations before breakfast. That's why they walk into the world with authority while others stumble in with excuses. And here's the hidden secret. Discipline compounds. The micro decisions you make in the morning ripple across the day. Skip a workout, and the brain is weaker when making a tough call at work. Delay writing your priorities, and you drift into reacting. Discipline is not about the morning, it's about life. The billionaire knows, if I win the first hour, I win them all. So, how do you build a morning that actually works? Not an Instagram routine, not a list of 10 hacks. A flow, a simple, repeatable system that endures no matter where you are. The Billionaire Way reduces everything to 3 anchors: body, mind, and action. First, prime the body. Move, breathe, stretch, or shock the system. This isn't about fitness, it's about state. You don't need 2 hours at the gym. You need 10 minutes of deliberate activation. A short jog, push-ups, and cold water. Anything that signals the body is awake, the machine is ready. Second, anchor the mind. Read your goals, journal your thoughts, meditate, or pray. This is not fluff, it's focus. The point is to remind yourself who you are and where you're going. Billionaires don't leave identity to chance. They cement it daily. Third, lock in action. Choose one priority, write it down, and commit. Not 10, not 5, 1. The brain loves clarity, and clarity creates execution. When everything else in the day spins, you still have a North Star. With these 3 steps, the noise disappears. No matter how chaotic life gets, this flow keeps you grounded. It's not glamorous, it's not Instagram-worthy, but it works. And when something works relentlessly, it compounds. That's the billionaire edge. Not complexity, but ruthless simplicity. Here's the brutal truth. Most people spend the first hour of their day in chaos. A rushed shower, a frantic scroll through messages, a half-eaten breakfast, and a mind already exhausted before work begins. Billionaires flip that script. They don't stumble into the first hour, they design it. Think of that first 60 minutes as a launch pad. If you ignite with clarity, the rest of the day lifts off with power. If you ignite with noise, the day sputters before it even begins. That's why the checklist matters. It strips away confusion and builds momentum. For example, Jeff Bezos has famously said he makes his most important decisions before lunch, when his mind is sharp. Why? Because he begins the day with deliberate calm, not scattered frenzy. The same goes for Oprah, who protects her mornings as sacred space for centering. The point isn't to copy their rituals, it's to copy their principle: clarity over chaos. When you claim the first hour, you control the next 12. The formula is simple but ruthless. Body activated, mind anchored, action locked, done consistently. This transforms mornings from reactive whirlwinds into precision engines. Imagine starting each day with energy in your body, clarity in your head, and a single mission written down. That's not just a morning, it's a revolution. Here's the final question. Will you keep letting mornings slip away, or will you use them as the forge of greatness? Because once you realize how much power is hidden in those early hours, you can never unsee it. Billionaires aren't superhuman. They don't have more time. They have the same 24 hours you do. The difference is that they treat the morning as sacred. They know that how you rise dictates how you rule. If you want a different life, you don't need more motivation. You don't need hacks, secrets, or someone else's aesthetic ritual. You need a checklist, a flow, and the courage to repeat it every single day. Because mornings aren't about perfection, they're about power. And every morning is a chance to claim yours. The choice is brutal, but it's yours. Keep living broken mornings or build billionaire ones. The truth is simple. A powerful life starts with a precise morning. Billionaires don't gamble their first hours. They engineer them. And now, you know how. So here's your challenge. Tomorrow morning, pick one shift from this checklist and live it. Then, share in the comments what you'll commit to for 7 days straight. If you're ready to stop living like the 99% and start designing mornings like the 1%, subscribe now, because this is only the beginning.